Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So, I was kind of preparing myself for worst case scenario in case that occurred. But we have Miss Vallow who is going in at 9 a.m. this morning, and we do definitely have her thing set up already. I saw it. Let me pull that one up. Should we call her Lori Vallow or should we call her Lori Vallow Daybell? I would say a normal individual, I would say, let's see what she prefers, but I really don't care what she prefers. Did you guys, well, we should get into talking about this anyway. Did you guys see what they're all saying about the Dateline thing that they had on her? A lot of people were not impressed with it. How many of you guys watched the Lori Daybell interview? Oh, look at this. This was 14 hours ago. Hang on, I gotta show you. I forget that I have to share it with you guys. I'll be sitting here talking to you guys about something you can't see.
So-called doomsday mom Lori Vallow Daybell is expected back in court this week. Daybell's charged with murder conspiracy and the death of her previous husband, Charles Vallow. Tomorrow morning, the judge is expected to hear arguments regarding live stream camera coverage of the upcoming trial. Vallow Daybell recently objected to Court TV's request, claiming the network libeled and slandered her in their previous coverage. And Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum will be at the hearing tomorrow. We'll have live coverage right here on Fox 10 News at 4 and 5. You can also scan the QR code on your screen to watch all of our coverage in the Lori Daybell case on our YouTube channel.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and go over there now because it sounds to me like, did she have the power to say, no, Court TV cannot stream this? That's what it sounded like to me. What did y'all pick up from that? I can't keep up with there's too many people in the chat. Dog mom, I'm here with the best chat around. I love you all. We love you too, honey. Thanks for being here. And thank you for being a member for 7 months. That's a long time to put up with me. Aw. Thank you, Fly Girl. I appreciate that. I'm doing pretty good. I hope you are well as well. You haven't watched the Dateline interview. Okay, here's what he said. This is what he said about Keith Morrison because I've got this ready for us to watch if we need to watch it later, if not today. He basically told one of the reporters, he said, she wants to be up on the soapbox. She wants to be seen. And I cringe to think that we're giving her what she wanted because she had been contacting them for quite some time trying to get interviews set up with them. She wants the world to know her. She wants to be on stage. And so I could see where they were going with that because instead of it being a 2-hour episode of them interviewing her, it ended up being them retelling the story over from the beginning and then flipping back and forth with her cutting in every now and then. And he said that she was combative at times, and at other times she was just as nice as she could be, very witty, very intelligent, he said. And he also said that he thought that he said she had a narrative that she wanted to give, and I didn't want her to give that narrative. So having to cut her off or lead her down another road while we were doing the interview, he said it was a job. It was a task. And he said they will not be going back and doing it again. But he also said that I don't think the jail will let him go back and do it again. The jail was like, no, that's it. So yeah, that's where that was coming from. But it was interesting to watch, and I do have it to where we can all sit and watch it again. Miss Laura, I know you've been here for more than 10 months. 2 years at least, right? Thank you. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you. Dateline streams on Peacock. Um, you got from East Idaho News had interviewed Keith Morrison. This was a different interview than the one I told you about earlier. And so what I would like to do is pull this up and let's watch this. This is him interviewing Keith about interviewing Lori, pretty much.
Sheriff's office. And so it happened several weeks ago. But you'll see a lot of it coming. But you can go watch it on NBC, or you can listen to the podcast, hopefully, and then you can see the entire Lori Vallow interview. So with that, here is Keith Morrison. Always so good to see you, Keith. I saw that. I think this is the 7th or 8th Dateline about this case.
Number 7.
7. Yeah. Have you ever done another topic with this many episodes?
I don't believe so. No, I think 7 is going to be the record. And will that be the last one? We don't know.
Well, if it is the last one, what an ending. Tell me how this interview came to be, Keith.
Well, we'd been communicating with Lori for quite some time, and I suspect you might have been doing the same thing, Dave. And she would dangle possibilities. And eventually, she talked to Shane a number of times, and Shane Bishop, our producer, and then she struck up a relationship with Brittany Morris, our associate producer on this story. Brittany's a great up-and-coming producer, but also just a nice person. And Brittany arranged the interview. So I was very surprised, frankly, at this call. Lori can interview with us, and the jail says it's okay. They're going to give us 90 minutes. And I was astonished, frankly. Usually, as you know, if you go to interview somebody in a prison or a jail, they'll maybe give you half an hour if you're lucky, or an hour if you got to do a whole kind of camera setup and so on. But no, 90 minutes. So I thought that would be plenty of time to get what we needed from anybody. But it turned out it wasn't enough to get what we needed from Lori that long. I could have gone on with her for a lot longer.
Right. And Keith, she had mentioned to me at one point she wanted to talk to you before she was sentenced here in Idaho. But they wouldn't let cameras into that.
Oh, that's right. Yes, there was that discussion. Yeah.
Right. So she obviously has been thinking about chatting with you for some time, for years now. So the broad question is, what was it like being there face to face with her and trying to interview her?
Well, she came in, she winked at our cameras on the way in. She was upbeat. She was charismatic. She was friendly. She was practically flirtatious. She was. There was an undercurrent of anger in what she was saying. She, I think, felt aggrieved about a good many things, and she bounced all over the map in discussion of those topics. But she had her own agenda, and she knew exactly how long she had. She's no dummy. And I think she had decided ahead of time that she was going to tell this shaggy dog tale to take up the time. I wouldn't be able to ask all my embarrassing questions. And she could lay out this, frankly, big lie about what happened to Tylee and JJ. But it would require such a big workup. She'd have to tell the whole kind of life story of her daughter Tylee. And spin some tales about that, for which no evidence, right? And that the chore was to kind of get her off that train track and get her onto what we wanted to talk about. And a good deal of the kind of combativeness back and forth was in that process.
I've spoken with people who have dealt with her legally, you could say, also family members, and from what they've told me, their conversations with her sound like your conversation with her, that she speaks about what she wants to talk about, and even answers to simple questions are not given.
Right. And, you know, a psychiatrist would have a field day with her, and I'm sure they did, you know, when they sent her off to that mental institute, the state hospital, right, to be treated. And they said she had delusions and delusional disorder. There was some specific religious component to it. And that's certainly there, but it's pretty deeply seated as far as I could tell. And I'm often curious about, when does the legal system feel that somebody really is mentally ill? And what effect should that have on crime and punishment? It's different in different countries and different jurisdictions. I mean, she's going on trial again for the murder of her husband. And will that become part of the defense? If I were her defense attorney, I would say yes, but she's her own defense attorney, and she ain't going to say that at all. Because she doesn't see herself as mentally ill. She sees herself as the only one who has the key to the truth. And she wants everybody to know what the truth is. But the truth is in her head, and it's in a attractive, smart, bright, quick, with a quip and a talk back. That person with that brain is her own worst enemy in some ways, but also she is engaging and will take up all kinds of time not getting to the point.
You mentioned, now she's her own attorney. Did you sense a feeling of arrogance from her about, like, I am the attorney, I am in charge, no one tells me what to do?
Not really. More of it's a learning curve, but I'm pretty good at this, and the judge is being pretty lenient and letting me do what I want to do. So that attitude, but there was an aggrieved nature to all of this. Like this, nothing is ever fair, and not whining about it, but just I understand things aren't fair, so I want to do things my way and try to get people to hear what the truth is. That attitude. More than anything, I think.
Did she? I guess, what was your most surprising element out of the whole 90-minute conversation?
I think I was surprised by the how engaged and the raw native intelligence in the woman. You begin to sort of ask a certain line of questions. She knows exactly where you're going, and she has a dance to get out of it, and she does that quite skillfully. And I was surprised at her capacity to do that, frankly. Quite often people who are, who are delusional about things will spin you outrageous, crazy stories, but they don't do so with quite the same alacrity and charm and humor as she does. So, do you get the impression that I liked the woman? I did, in a weird way. I liked her a lot. And yet I know that this is a woman who killed her children, participated in the killing of husband, participated in the killing of the wife of her lover, planned presumably other killings too, as she's going to go on trial for those things. And yet she is a very interesting person to talk to.
Right, and she stayed the whole 90 minutes. She didn't leave. She didn't get upset.
Even she said, "Well, we can't probably finish this in 90 minutes, so we'll just have to come back and do it again." And the jailer said, "No, you won't." But curiously, even though I was terribly frustrated at the end of this, I would go back and do it again.
So in a way, can you see how maybe some people, I don't want to say fall under her charm, but could be attracted to her?
Sure. I could see how she could be the ringleader in a group of people who were addicted to some kind of out there idea. If they could be sucked into an idea of that sort, if they were susceptible to it, then Lori could certainly be the person who would charm them into following her down the yellow brick road.
You've interviewed a lot of people from behind bars, in prisons, in jails, exonerated, guilty. How does this one compare?
Oh, I don't think I'd try to compare it with anything. I mean, look, I talked to a preacher one time who told me about how he cut up his wife into little bits in a bathtub and put them all into a Tupperware container and took them out and buried them under a cairn in the desert. But even so, when he dies, he said he knows he's going to, they'll be together again in eternity, and they'll, pick up where they left off. So, and seem to really believe that. But I'm listening to the story thinking, oh boy, this guy, he really is wacky. But he was wacky. And I'm sorry to be terribly dismissive about somebody, but he was clearly mentally ill. This one believes all that same kind of stuff, and yet has the ability to make you enjoy the conversation at the same time, or be frustrated but enjoy the conversation in tandem. Odd. It was just odd.
Right.
It was exhausting. I came out of there thinking, oh my God, I don't ever want to do that again. But now I would. It's weird.
Right. You also spoke with Sheriff Ball, Detective Hermosillo, Doug Hart, some other people that we haven't really heard from since the trial, and Colby. What was your conversation like with Colby, Lori's oldest son?
It was a heartfelt conversation, and about what he has gone through and how he is trying to rebuild his life. And I must say that I felt for Colby so much more after having spoken to his mother than I could have before. Colby has gone through an awful lot in his life, and having had as his kind of North Star and the woman of his, he adored his mother growing up. They were close, he would, but seeing what he would have to deal with and how he would have to dodge her behaviors and kind of be thrilled some of the time and kind of hide some of the time, it would be very hard for a kid. And the divorces he had to go through, and the huge fights with ex-husbands and court battles and the constant back and forth, and it just would be a very, very difficult life. And then to be abandoned, essentially, and discover after his abandonment that his little sister and little brother have disappeared and were killed by his mother.
Oof.
Then he talks to her in prison. She finally agrees, in jail rather. She finally agrees she's going to talk to him, and he has her on his podcast, and she lied to him, and I think that was the final straw. And he was broken by that, and again, he's trying to build it back, and I felt for him.
One thing I noticed about the kids is how loving they all were towards each other, all three of them. I was watching some of the just different video pieces that they had of the just all three of them around each other, and they just loved the little one. He was just like everybody's favorite, but they all just took care of him. And I think about that, and I'm like, okay, she pretty much raised him, right? Like, how she did something right there, but Was she always this way, or did she just? We know she snapped when she met Daybell, but before that, was she always? She was always putting herself out there. Remember, she had the pageants and all that stuff that she did. I mean, she was always wanting to be that. Oh, she was on the game show, always wanting to be the center of attention. But I don't know. I had a friend one time, and this is the reason I say this. I had a friend one time who her mother was just very lackadaisy. Like, it was almost like this poor girl had to raise herself. Like, she was the adult in the situation. Now, her mother worked. She took care of her. She put food on the table and all that. But it was still one of the things where it was more like the daughter was the adult over the mom. And this girl ended up turning out to be crazy, intelligent, beautiful, very well. She's very classy. She handles herself very well, but her mother was a mess. And I don't know. I wonder about that, because I think that a lot of times the way, especially a female turns out, is based upon how their mother is as they're growing up. You know, for me, I always wanted to be like my mom. I always wanted to impress my mom. I always wanted to dress like her, do what she, that kind of thing. So she was the fun mom, he said, right? Till she wasn't. Yeah. So there was a time when it just clicked, I guess. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think Kat and I have your thing start here, what you said earlier, and I don't think you meant it this way, but so I'm just gonna put it up there real quick so we can just address it. My cat and I, she says, Americans have it so easy taking another human life, it's almost normal to you. I don't think you meant it the way it sounded, but I will say no, you're incorrect there. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how to respond to that, but I don't think you meant it the way it sounds. So I'm just gonna say I disagree with you there. Children absorb their environment. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a great way of saying it, LA. Was she in a cult? Well, okay. I got to be careful with what I say here. They were part of the. Which one were they? Y'all got to help me out, because remember, I have not been following this trial from the beginning, but weren't they a part of one of the. They weren't Mormons, were they? Were they Mormons? No, they were the cult. Exactly, Cheryl. But I think they're talking about before that, right? LDS. Thank you, Kickboxing Mom. Are LDS and Mormon the same thing? Oh, Northwest said, FYI, Arizona is on Pacific time now. That's why we're so messed up. Yeah, well, earlier Court TV had it at 9 my time, so I don't know. I think they screwed up too. So yeah, she was part of a I call it a questionable religious sect. I don't know. I mean, they're different. Latter-day Saints, yes, that's Mormons. Okay. I get it all mixed up. Was that the same as the guy? Wait, I might be confusing them with someone else. What was the guy that got arrested because he had all these kids that he was supposedly the dad of? He was having kids with kids. Is it Jeff something? It is a cult. That's what I thought. I didn't want to be, if anybody is a Mormon or anything, I don't want to offend anybody. No, I don't watch Ruby Frank. I have not really followed a whole lot of that case. Warren Jeffs. Thank you, Bama. Yeah. I just find that a lot of it, what is it about Utah and that whole area having such crazy stuff going on lately? We've got Jennifer Gledhill. We've got Corey Richens. Oh, the women still visit Warren Jeffs in prison. That is strange. Yes. That's where the main church is for that. LDS is not a cult. Daybell offshot. Yeah, that's true. Daybell kind of did his own thing with that. They just have different beliefs than Baptists and Catholics and others, but cult called Preparing a People. Lots of LDS Mormons in Utah. Most people don't think LDS as a cult. That's what I thought. Okay. So Daybell was a Mormon. Daybell was a Daybell, Laura. He was his own little, he thought that he had the calling and stuff. Did you hear the way he talked? It was so creepy. And it was so just, I just found it really hard. Like, first of all, I never even saw what she saw in him, because I didn't even think he was attractive. And then he's going to get up there and talk like he did, and how he talked to God, and God, and now she's doing this whole thing where now she said, what did she say in her interview? She was Jesus's favorite. Did y'all hear that part? She's Jesus's favorite. Yeah, it's just, it's crazy insane. Crazy insane. All right. What do you guys think lately of what's going on with another crazy? We'll go a little bit southeast with this one. What's her name? Casey Anthony, wanting to get back out there in social media. I can't even find myself to be able to watch that, to be able to cover it for you guys. Seriously. I don't want to watch her talk. She has to be the most unliked person in the United States. I swear. Jesus loves everybody, but I'm his favorite. Is that how she put it, Mrs. O? Yeah. Who says that? Like, that would be cute to have a t-shirt, But, like, who says that? Yeah, I can't watch her. She is just the worst. I could watch Lori Daybell over watching her, which is really odd, but I don't know. I just think it's because Casey Anthony is just so nasty. Ugh. She's just so mean. Even the way she talks, even when she's just like, I saw like a piece of that thing where she did on TikTok or whatever, and it's like, she doesn't even talk to people like she wants them to like her. She talks to people like, I'm going to tell you this, and this is how I'm going to tell you this, and this is what it's all about, and this is the way it's going to be. I don't care if you like me or not. Like, okay, then why are you even doing it? Like, why? Because I want to be an advocate. Advocate my butt. Stuff. Is that okay? Because I would really prefer to watch this. I'm all over the place, I know, but I just would prefer to watch the interview because it's related to the same case, and I don't want to get people confused.
And then I'll so just make it easier so you don't have to.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be up in yes. So if you want to.
Yeah, Margaret's using the other one,
Okay.
so you'll be, Brandon's gonna monitor for him.
Okay, so just run out this way
Okay.
if there's anything, but if,
Perfect.
that's right.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I've never seen this.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. You know what, it was such a struggle because you in hospital, you go back to school, I try to talk to the teachers, but in high school, okay.
Don't care.
You're not here to do the work or no?
Like, they don't care. They're
Well,
so
I think
loyal.
with high school, it's like they're just pumping.
But when she was in elementary and junior high, all the teachers worked with her. They were nice about it. But by high school, there's so many kids that just don't care. And I was like, just take it. You're so smart. Let's just take it, see if you pass it. She passed it. Like,
And got a really good score.
yeah, she passed it with like college ready in every category the first time.
Well, and now she can do what she wants. So
Exactly.
she's better off that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know Lori's your first name, right?
Yeah.
Lauri.
Lori
Okay. And then what's your last name?
Vallow, Vallow.
And your date of birth? And your phone number? And you live at the house, right? Okay. Okay, I know this sounds silly, but it's probably the easiest way to start, is just to tell me what happened. And then, so you can start what makes the most sense to you, and we'll just work our way through, and I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions just to kind of clarify.
Sure.
So I know you talked to the initial patrol officer,
And he just got information. He didn't
Okay.
say anything.
so yeah, if you can just kind of tell me kind of what happened. It sounds like some of this may have started last night or something along those lines.
Right.
So start where you think it makes the most sense.
Okay, so,
I told you, it's a crazy question.
Well, so we moved into this house 3 weeks ago because he offered to get me a house here where all my family is. So we
Okay.
were in Houston. And so he's like, we had decided to separate or whatever. So he's like, well, I'll pay for a house for you and for JJ and whatever, because he's all about JJ. He's never about Tylee, but he's all about JJ. Because we adopted him together. He's his great nephew. We adopted him as a baby. And so we adopted him as a baby, and so we've been raising him together. And he travels all the time for business, so he's used to just going back and forth. So he's always gone like Monday through Friday. So he came when we first moved in and brought me stuff from Houston, like a U-Haul, and then he hasn't been back. But it's all these threats on my phone all the time, you know, like whatever, all these things. And then he told me,
What kind of threats?
just, you'd have to read them to see, but he's always mad at me, right?
Okay.
And he doesn't want a divorce, but I don't like him and don't want to deal with him, so that's just how it is. Like, so we married for 14 years, we dealt with it for 14 years, and him being horrible to her. Like, he gets in huge fights with her, a lot of things. But anyway, so he said, I'm coming Wednesday night, all of a sudden. I want to see JJ. And I told him, I said, I will never keep JJ from you. You can come see whatever you want to, come take him to school, whatever. Like, I'm not going to do that.
So when you initially moved, he had said he was going to buy you a house. So you moved here with your
Yeah, he was going to rent us a house.
And so you moved.
All my family lives here. So we lived here for a long time.
Okay.
And then he moved us to Houston.
Okay.
And we were there with my son. He was out of school. He didn't have any of his like services, his DDD, his anything. He like ripped him out of school and said, we're moving.
Okay.
And I didn't go with him at first. And he took him. And I let him take him. And I didn't file anything or whatever. And then he filed something against me and said, I'm only going to get supervised visits because I'm crazy and blah, 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 you know, the story. And so I just didn't talk to him for like 30 days and let him take care of him and let him see what I've been doing for the past 7 years, because men need to do that. You know, I have 5 kids. I have grown kids. I have grandkids. Like, okay, you're going to threaten me that you're not going to let me see my child without supervised visitation? Okay, do it for 30 days and see how long it lasts. You're begging me to come pick him up.
Yeah.
Which he did. So it's like, come back and whatever. So I moved in with them to Houston for the family, you know, and Tylee went with me. We drove to Houston from here and left all our family and all his support, all my son's support, like his cousins, everything. And we were there, and I enrolled him in school there. I tried to start all his services, and it takes forever.
Yeah.
You know, it takes so long to get that done.
There's no easy transfer.
There's no easy transfer.
You start from the beginning.
It's a totally new thing.
Yeah.
And he didn't do any of it in those 30 days. So he just had gone without services, without even applying. And I'm like, do you even realize? Because he didn't ever do it in the first place. I did it. Long story. I'll keep it short. He hasn't been here in a couple weeks since we moved in. He came He was very nasty when he was there, but he travels for business. So he went back to the Houston house,
Okay.
and he's like, I'm coming on Wednesday night, and I'm gonna come pick up JJ and take him to school Thursday, pick him up Thursday, take him Friday, whatever. And I said, Casey wanted to come to the house, and I said, you can't come stay at this house because you can't get along with Tylee. She's a minor, she has to live here.
Yeah.
So because he gets in huge fights up there,
Okay.
and she hates him. And so I'm like, you can't stay at the house, so I will book you a hotel, because he stays in hotels all the time because he travels for business, and the business pays for it, right? So I said, I will book you a hotel nearby.
What does he do?
He works with teachers and their retirement plans, but he goes to them at their school.
Oh,
He
okay.
mostly works in California,
Okay.
no matter where we live. And we
Okay.
lived in Hawaii, he'd work in California, he'd work in Texas. He has like books of business in different areas. And so he just goes wherever.
Okay.
It kind of just gives him freedom that he doesn't have to stay home every day and take care of special needs.
Yeah.
It's like an excuse, right? So I've done that myself for the last 7 years anyway. And I was a single mom before I married him with my 2 kids.
Yeah.
And he had 2 kids. We got married, tried to make a family. You know, how it goes. Anyway. So he said he was coming last night. I said, well, you can't stay at this house because you can't get along with Tylee. I'll get you a hotel and you can come play with JJ. But he goes to school all day.
Yeah.
I got him back into his school. His services, I met with the DDD yesterday, and they finally are getting his services back, but we're paying $125 a day to have him back at school because he's so out of his routine. He's been a nightmare on the floor, kicking stuff, hitting stuff, walls, like, he just ripped him out of his life.
Yeah.
So, anyway, just how he is, because he only thinks about himself, so. He says, come in to get JJ, and JJ's like, I don't want Dad, because he knows Dad took him away, so he was freaking out, right? So I didn't tell him he was even coming, like, Dad's gonna come take you to school or anything. So he didn't bother me last night, which I was surprised. I was expecting kind of an ambush for him to kind of like come over or be just mean and say, it's my house, I'm on the lease, I'm gonna stay here, kind of thing. Because that's kind of his macho attitude. And so he came this morning, I was getting JJ ready.
So he got in last night, but he wasn't at the house last night.
Yeah, I didn't hear from him, except for he texted me and said, I'll be there at 7:30 to pick up JJ.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that was good to hear from him. And then he came over in the morning and he's like banging on the door. I'm like, oh great, here we go, you know. And I was just gonna be nice. I was gonna be nice as possible. And I had JJ stuff all ready for school. And so
Do you remember about what time he got there?
he said he'd be there 7:30, but it was more like 7:40-ish
Okay.
or 7:35. I don't know.
Okay.
But I remember thinking, looking at the clock, and he wasn't there at 7:30, and he's usually Mr. On
Punctual.
time. Yes. So I was like, okay. And then JJ was like, oh, Dad. And then he was like, Mommy, and like ran to me and was like holding me. He's like, you're not taking me to school. And I was like, it's okay, Dad, I can just drive you to school. It's not a big deal. You know, just trying to make it whatever.
Calm.
Yeah, calm. And then he was just being real smirky and real like jerky, you know, to me. And I was like ignoring him, whatever. And so he was like, I'm
Your brother lives there with you?
No,
Okay.
he had stayed with me last night because I was worried he was going to come over and cause trouble with me.
Okay.
And just wanted someone else there, like my brother there, because I trust my brother. And it's been a long story. Like, I had to go live at my brother's when he took JJ, and, you know, he's just been difficult. So, anyway. So I got JJ stuff ready. And he was like, well, and he's like this about timing. He's like, I'm leaving in 20 minutes because it's like 15 minutes to the school and like you can't get there early. They don't open the gates until 8:20 or something like that. And I said, well, why don't you just go now? I don't want him in the house. I'm like, why don't you just go now and take him to Burger King because that's what he likes for breakfast. And he's very particular about food. Like, he wanted chicken fries for breakfast and this Sprite. Like, and I just get what he wants because if you don't get what he wants, then it's like on the floor screaming, dragging him into school. Like, and he's big and he's heavy and it's hard for me to handle that. Anyway, so I said, just go. And so he said, okay. So I gave him a backpack. He got in the car. And this is his MO, right? He always leaves something in the house and comes back. He never leaves the first time. I always expect my husband to come back into the house, right? So I guess he had left his phone on the counter.
So he initially left with the backpack and with JJ?
And so he put them in the car,
Okay.
in the driveway, and then he came back in, right? So I kissed JJ goodbye. He came back in, and his phone was on the counter, and I had his phone. And he was like, give me my phone. And I was like, why don't you show me your text that you've been texting, blah, 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 you know, whatever. Because he's like acting really weird, like he's plotting something against me. Like, I'm like, why are you even here? Like, what did you come here for? You know, he's been talking to my other brother, and my brother came into town at the same time last night. And I haven't talked to my brother in a while, my other brother, and I was like, and so he was texting him on the phone when he first got to my house, and I'm like, why are you texting Adam? Like, do you even talk to him? Like, my other brother. And, you know, he's been telling me all these texts, like, you're going down, blah, 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 blah. He's blaming me for our marriage breaking up, and my niece getting divorced, and my friend getting divorced. He said, I'm a destroyer of families. Because I want everybody to get divorced. I'm like, what would my motivation be for people getting divorced? So I can babysit the kids more? Like, why would I have any control over what people do?
Yeah.
So it's just very odd. But anyway, he goes nuts. He's gone nuts on us a lot of times. Tyler and I have had to leave with JJ over the years, probably 5 times, and just stay in a hotel for 2 days because he goes nuts. Like, you don't know what's going to set him off. Like, whatever. And she's mad at me for always like going back, but we had JJ and he's special needs, and it's really hard. Like, it's even hard to take care of it by yourself.
So when you say he goes nuts, that can mean a lot of different things.
Right.
So goes nuts like yelling and screaming.
Yeah,
goes
yelling and
nuts like
screaming,
breaking
like,
things.
yes.
Goes nuts like physical violence.
He's never really, besides like grabbing us and pushing us, but not like punching us or something. But with Tylee, he has gotten physical
Okay.
before, and with my grown son,
Like physical how?
like got into a physical fist fight with my son when he was 16,
Okay.
and he came after Tylee 2 times in Hawaii,
Okay.
and like went like he was going to hit her, but then I got in between them.
Uh-huh.
Right.
How old was she when that happened?
Probably 13 and 14.
Okay. So this morning he comes back in and
He comes back in, I wouldn't give him his phone. He was screaming at me to give him his phone. He was very worried about whatever was on his text that he did not want me to see. And so I was just holding it there, and he was screaming at me. And I was kind of walking towards around the house with it, so he couldn't get it. He's like reaching for it and stuff like that. And so Tylee came out of her room upset, and she had a bat. And she told him to leave her mother alone, like, right? So she was really whatever. And he's screaming at her, don't you hit me with that bat, and blah, 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 blah. And then my brother heard all the commotion because he was in there in bed. And so he came out into the main room, and I guess whatever.
What's your brother's name?
Alex.
Alex, okay.
And then he just started, he was screaming, and he was super upset and whatever. And he's yelling at Tylee, don't you hit me with that bat, and blah, blah, blah. And so Tylee, I guess, I don't know if she swung at him or what, but he like grabbed the bat from Tylee and then went to like hit Tylee with the bat. It was, and I was right there, they were right there, and my brother grabbed him from behind, like just to stop him from hitting Tylee.
You go like this, like he grabbed him like.
Yeah, from behind, like just kind of to pull him back. And then they got into the thing, and he's hitting him with the bat, and they're on the ground, like grappling around or whatever. And then, I mean, it was all
and he
quickly.
And he hit your brother with the bat while they were grappling and stuff.
Yeah, yes, he was hitting him with the bat, like swinging the bat, you know, back and forth, and they were kind of like on the ground, and I was like freaking out trying to go around, knowing JJ was in the car.
Yeah.
Right? And so then he got up, and he had the bat like this towards me, and I was going around the other side to try to just get out of his range where he couldn't hit me. And then I had told Tylee, because she was on the ground, because after he took the bat from her, she fell back. And so I told her, I was like, go get in the car with JJ. Like, I don't want JJ coming in to the house, or, and I wanted her out of the way. I wanted the kids out of the way, whatever this fight was going to be. And then,
do you remember what your husband or your brother were saying or yelling during all of this? If they were at all?
Just kind of, get off me, ow, or whatever, you know, whatever. They were like, don't talk to my niece that way, whatever. Like, it was, I don't remember specifics, but they were kind of both, they were kind of in the heat of it. I don't think there was many words that I remember.
So Tylee goes outside.
Yeah, she was outside.
And then what happened?
Then they got up from that, and my brother had like stepped back, I guess, and then Charles was coming with me at the back, yelling at me to give him his phone still, because I had it in my hand. It was all really quickly. And then when I went around kind of in the circle, then my brother was there.
When you said when you were going around and he was coming at you with the bat, how was he holding the bat?
Just like that, like backwards. One arm.
Like he was swinging it backwards? He would have done like
he would have swung it backwards at me, not frontwards.
Okay, yeah.
He was a professional baseball player.
Okay.
So it wasn't a good idea for Charlie to get out of that.
Probably not the.
I mean, he played semi-pro.
Yeah.
When he was young. But yeah, and then I was kind of turned around. And we were all right there in that room, except for the kids had been outside by that time, and I heard the gunshot. And
so you heard the shot? Did you actually see the shot, or did you just hear it?
I had gone around to the kitchen to get away from him, and so back around. So I don't know if he went in the house.
I didn't, so I'm like a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, so I didn't see the shot. I heard it, and then I came back around and I saw that he was on the ground.
Okay.
And was freaking out.
Yeah.
And so I was just freaking out, and it just went into mom mode. I'm like, I've got to go to get JJ to school. I've got to get to the kids. I just felt like I got to get to the kids. And so I just went outside and to see if they were in there okay. I didn't want them coming back in the house when all that was going on. And got JJ in the car, and he was trying to come in. And Tylee was like looking at me with like the crazy eyes, like what just happened. And I told her to get in the car and we're going to take JJ to school. And I just left.
When you came back in and you saw him on the ground, where was your brother? Did you see him where he was at?
Yeah, he was right in front of him.
Okay.
Like it all happened very quickly. I feel like I was there because I was right there, and like a second later, like I just went around the kitchen to get away from him.
Did your brother say anything to you at all? Do you remember?
No, we were both just in shock.
Okay.
Like it was just I didn't say anything. I went out with the kids just to check on them first, and I was going to come back in maybe, but I didn't. I was like, I just have to get him to school and call the police and come back, whatever.
Did anybody say did you or your brother say anything at some point about calling the police or calling 911? Do you remember?
Yeah, he called me.
Okay.
And he said, are you taking JJ to school? And I said, yeah, we need to call the police. And he said, okay.
Okay. So he called you when you didn't come back inside, basically?
Right.
Okay.
Because I was like in the car for a minute, and then I was like, what did I do? And I didn't want JJ to go inside, and I didn't know what to do. And Tylee was freaking out. I was trying to get them away from the scene.
Understandable. And you may not know this, so, because I know you heard the shot, do you know at what point your brother had the gun? Do you know if he had it when they got in their first fight, or did he have to go get it, or do you know that at all?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
And do you remember if you ever heard your brother?
I didn't see him ever leave the room.
Okay.
So it was so fast. All that was so fast. Like him on the ground rolling around, and I'm screaming, and
this probably happened in a couple seconds.
Yeah, I mean it was like super fast.
And I don't know if you know this or not. Does your brother normally carry a gun? Like I carry a gun everywhere I go.
Right. Like I know he's a gun person. Like he has guns and things.
Okay.
He's good with guns.
Did you know that he had one with him?
No.
When he came over?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Because he's very, very professional with guns.
Professional. Responsible is usually a good word.
Responsible with guns.
And then, do you remember if at any time, so you were trying to get away from him, and you heard the shot. Prior to the shot, do you remember at any point hearing your husband or your brother saying anything to either of them?
No.
So my second very ridiculous question is there anything else that I didn't ask about or anything that we didn't cover that you think is important? I always ask that just because I wasn't there, and so we're going through something that happened a super small amount of time.
Yes. Can I
So,
step?
Yeah, go for it.
Just thinking. Just that. He was just so angry, like super scary.
Did
You know how you take your phone away from like a 16-year-old and you freak out? Like their world disintegrates. Like I've taken my phone away from a 16-year-old boy before, and he's like wanted to kill himself because like they kidnapped him. That's how it was. It was like is something on his phone that he does not want me to see. That he was like freaking out, like to the point where I thought he would hit me in the back of the head to get the phone.
Okay. So you thought, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you thought it was possible that he was going to hurt you.
Absolutely, he was going to hurt me and Tylee.
Okay.
Not JJ. He would never hurt JJ.
Okay.
And he hurt my brother. Like he was going like ballistic about. It was bad.
Okay. I'm gonna go talk to her real quick.
Okay.
And then if obviously, we'll be here for a little bit, hopefully not too much longer. But if you think of anything or there's anything that kind of pops in your head or something else that we didn't cover, obviously. So I'm gonna go talk to her for just a little bit, and then I'll kind of come back and check with you. And then we'll kind of go from there. So I know my partner's talking to your brother over in one of the other interview rooms. So we're going to just try to get, as much done as we can and go from there. Okay? And then is there anybody that you need to call or anything, or you want to wait a little bit?
I don't know what I would say.
And wait a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know what I would say.
And if you want to, you can think about it. So we do have victim services that work within the police department. They're right over here. They're not cops, they're civilians. And they do, Jessica, who was out there with the fire department, so they're kind of our crisis response. They come right away. So our victim services that work in the department are kind of more long-term type support systems. So they're just a really good resource because they do a lot of stuff with our families and things like that, and can help with support services and questions you might have.
She's been through so much.
So it might be a good idea.
I just can't stand for her to have to go through all this.
Yeah, it might be a good idea maybe before I take you guys back today that I get one of them to come in and maybe sit and talk with you guys and see. And it's not something there's a bunch of stuff they can offer, but it's good to have a contact and like a name and a face and a phone number. That way maybe a couple days from now, a week from now, or if there's something going on or you think you need help with something, it may not be something that's necessarily up like me and my partner's alley, but it very much may be up theirs. So I'd like for you to meet one of them before we leave. That way, hopefully if there's something that they can help you and your daughter with, they can, or even JJ or whatever else.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I haven't even thought about him.
Yeah. So.
I mean, he's used to him not being there, but he wouldn't understand even if you told him.
Right.
Like, that somebody passed away, he doesn't understand
what that means. Well, I mean, it's hard at 7 to understand that
anyway. That's true, but with him, he just doesn't, which is probably better because he doesn't comprehend things, but I don't know. It's just, that's a lot to think about.
Yeah. So let me go find one of them, and then we'll make sure that you guys get to meet with them before you leave, because that might be something very helpful for you guys. And I'm going to go speak with your daughter for just a little bit, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay? And if you need anything, let me know, okay? Okay.
Thank you for the super chat, Laura. Gosh, with headphones on, it's so loud. This. Is she crying or is she fixing her makeup? She's fixing her makeup. I don't doubt that she's a very attractive woman, especially for her age. But come on, Mark. You take that crazy? Because, you know, it comes with crazy. Oh, she is crying, supposedly. I can't see because it's so far away. And I got a little bitty baby screen. I need a bigger laptop. Hi, Joe. Welcome in. Cheryl says she's acting. I kind of figured she was. Is she meditating now? When her Botox wore off, it really wore off. Ooh, Donna. Meow. Jeffrey Dahmer. Ooh, Susan B. But hey, by the way, Jeffrey Dahmer. That's who you think Daybell. He is. It's creepy, isn't it? I couldn't pinpoint it, but yeah, maybe you're right. I don't remember. I don't even know if I've listened to a Dahmer interview enough to really know. Yes, because she is meeting Jesus at the moment because she's favorite. Yeah, but just an update, you guys. Laura and I have been working in the background trying to find anything on the Courtney Clenney hearing today, and we've gotten absolutely zero. Mark. In her mind, she is levitating. Oh, good gracious. Maybe she is. Do y'all think she believes the nonsense that she spews? Do you think that she really does believe it? Like she's that crazy? Because I always felt like it was an act. The nose might be twitching. Oh, she does look like Tabitha from Bewitched, doesn't she? I mean, are people really that far gone? I just don't see how people could be that far gone. I always feel like when somebody is that into it, it is totally an act. Delusional? I don't know. Okay, let me fast forward this a little bit, I guess. I didn't realize we were going to be sitting here on pause. Which, by the way, we got about 20 minutes before we go into... Oh, what'd you... Let me see what Crew Crime Junkie. True Crime Junkie. Excuse me. I've watched some things on the sect that she's part of, and they are pretty sold on it. Jody Hillenbrand also buys into the light, dark zombie things too. Does she? Because I saw an interview that she was doing, and I thought she was making fun of it, but she believes the zombie thing. Did Chad start the whole thing about the zombies? He started that whole The idea of that, right? I believe that people like them are going to be judged the harshest when the time comes. The book Visions of Glory. Is that his book? That's not his book? I didn't have the patience for it. Oh, it wasn't his. Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Mark's focusing on the teddy bear for some reason. I still think Mark wasn't held as a child. I don't care what anybody thinks. This is my opinion. And Dog Mom is focused in on how Lori looks. You can't even see her that well. You must have a big screen. Visions of Glory. Okay, so that's the different. So who wrote that book and who is that person? Are they still alive? Because wouldn't they be the leader of the cult? We need to get Mark a teddy bear, apparently. Blanco says no, he's weird. The teddy bear is weird. She's having a conversation with other exalted beings. Oh, okay. Jody and you talk. Your mom kept you in a cardboard box. I want to read that book, just like not all of it, just pieces of it. I want to see what little snips of it. She's getting probed by aliens. Okay, hang on. Weren't they interviewing Tylee during all this too? Oh, for goodness sakes. Good gracious. Do you think they did that on purpose? A lot of times cops will do that on purpose. They'll leave them in there by themselves to see how they react. You don't think she's charismatic at all? Hey, Carola. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. You find her creepy, huh? I'm gagging on the BS that Lori just spilled. No doubt.
I like your daughter a lot.
She's fun.
Yeah. So one of the victim services, Denise, is here. So I kind of told her just a little bit of what happened. So if you're good with it, I'm gonna have her come over and I'm gonna introduce her to you guys so you guys can talk for a little bit. Which kind of works well too, because I need to run over to where my partner's at and just talk to him a little bit. That way you guys will have a little bit, hopefully, extra support if you need it. So I'm gonna go grab Denise real fast and then introduce you guys. Okay?
There's a feed in the courtroom, and I kept hearing somebody else talking, and I was like, where is this coming from? Do you want me to switch over to Court TV? Wait, yeah. Well, nope. Now they just killed the feed. Never mind. It was just an audio feed. It wasn't the. We'll keep going. Pay no attention to the woman behind the curtain. I would go insane sitting there waiting like that all that time. One thing too, though, is like Daybell is not that. He's not an attractive dude. You know, to me, I just didn't think he was all that great looking. And she's so pretty and put together, and I know she's crazy, but I'm just saying, you know, if you just compare just their looks alone, it's like they don't really go together. They don't look right together. I've never thought they did. Yeah, she's not even worried about, well, she's not worried about hiding it because maybe that's because she does believe the BS.
So this is Denise.
Hi. Hi, sorry. That's funny. I'm so
So she's gonna take you over to like a conference room so you guys can sit and talk and stuff. And then you can just, once you guys talk and kind of, you can decide if you're comfortable with Tylee coming in or whatever.
Okay, sure.
And then we'll
I just don't want her to be left alone and
Yeah,
by herself.
yeah.
She's freaking out.
So we keep kind of popping in and checking on her and
I
stuff.
just don't want her to be alone too long.
Yeah.
We'll be as brief or as long as you want, okay? I'm here to try to, you got lots of choices when you talk, so we'll just get started and then we'll go from there. That sound okay?
All right, thanks. They handed me this, but that was just his.
We tend to do strange things sometimes.
Okay, we're getting a feed. Hang on. We're getting an audio feed that we're probably not supposed to be getting. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Is this Lori and her attorney talk or her whatever co-counsel?
Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, when it comes to healing our minds and our bodies, we're seeing a growing trend in holistic remedies. But what does that mean exactly? Well, here to talk.
That's what we're listening to. That's what is in the background of their. What the heck? Come on now. Let's go back to this. Mark, there's another bear.
So you have to spell your name because we're all taking guesses on how to spell it. We're not sure.
Tylee.
Okay, I was right. And what's your last name?
Ryan, Ryan.
And your birthday? And then, do you have a phone?
Yeah.
What's your phone number? Okay. So I know this is gonna kind of sound like kind of a silly question, because it's super broad. But can you basically tell me what happened today? And you can start at whatever place makes sense for you, to kind of start and explain. I'll probably kind of ask you questions as we go a little bit.
So I woke up
probably around like 7:50, I want to say, because I heard yelling from like right outside my door. I don't even know what I heard, but I immediately like jumped up, and I have a baseball bat because when I was living at my uncle's by myself, I just wanted something to like feel safer, and I'm not old enough to get like pepper spray or anything, so I was like, okay, I'll get a baseball bat. So I have that.
So your bedroom, you said that right outside your bedroom door, and I didn't go in the house, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. So what is your bedroom door open to?
My bedroom door open, so the room that my uncle was staying in, the room that's kind of like the guest room, if my room's right here, that's right there.
Okay.
And then my little brother's room, and then kitchen's kind of back here, so it's like a little hallway, and then right here is kind of where everything happened.
Okay.
Like the big, you walk in and
like big great room, kind of living room.
Yeah, right now it just has mirrors up because my mom wanted a dance room.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Kind of unconventional, but
hey, whatever makes you happy. It's your guys' house, so.
Right. So yeah, I immediately just jumped up and I grabbed my baseball bat and I opened the door, and it was my stepdad, outside the doorway, and then my uncle kind of in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him, and he was just screaming at both of them, like, I don't even know what he was saying, because honestly I was just too like wired, I guess. So I told him to take a few steps back. I was like, you're too close, you need to step back, and he was like, don't tell me what to do, and I just kind of just stood there, and then my uncle kind of moved out of the way, and then my mom kind of went past him and into like the big room.
Okay.
Where everything happened, and so I walked with them, and then
So they were more in the hallway.
Yeah, they were at like the end of the hallway, basically, and so my mom walked all the way around, and he kind of followed them, and I just kind of stood. My uncle was like right here, and then my stepdad right here, and then me and my mom were kind of right here. And I didn't do anything with the baseball bat, I kind of just held it there, and he was getting really close to my mom, so I kind of stuck it out like between them, and they were both just yelling, and he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're gonna go to jail, and I just kind of stood there with the baseball bat, and I didn't really say anything.
When you said they were yelling, who was yelling?
It was mostly my stepdad.
Okay.
Well, he was really the only one like yelling. My mom was kind of like responding, but I honestly couldn't tell you what they were saying. It was kind of just like all jumbled up in my head. And so I just kind of stuck the baseball bat out there, and then he just grabbed it and tried to take it. So I held on to the end, and then eventually I fell, and he kind of took it into his hands like he was going to do something with it. And that's when...
So when you fell, he ended up with the bat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I fell to the ground, and then my uncle kind of like, I saw him take a step back, so my uncle, I think, grabbed him and kind of took him back so he couldn't like do anything.
You saw your stepdad like take a step back?
Take a step back, because he was really close to begin with, and then and so my mom said to go with JJ, and so I ran out the door, and then I kind of just stood there with my little brother. He was in the front seat of the car, and so I just kind of opened the door and just stood there, and like, he was trying to get out, and I was like, no, we have to stay in, and I was like, oh, like, I told him, like, do you want to go in the Jeep? And then he was like, no, and then I realized that my car was blocked in, so I couldn't anyways. I was like, okay, like, just stay here, and then eventually my mom came out, and then we left from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened inside of the house? Has your mom kind of explained it all to you?
I just kind of asked her, like, because I heard a noise, which I know what it was now, but it sounded like, because I knew that the baseball bat was in there, it sounded like someone, like, took it and hit it really hard against the floor.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like, Al's okay, right? Because that's my uncle. So I just wanted to make sure that, like, my stepdad didn't do anything to my uncle and stuff. And so she was like, no, like, Al's fine. Like, we're just going to take JJ to school. And I was like, okay. So I just got in the car, and then we went to Burger King because my little brother wanted breakfast, which was chicken fries for some reason.
Okay. I do dinner for breakfast all the time.
Breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast.
So to kind of back up a little bit, so you had talked about your stepdad, when you put the bat out, your stepdad was coming towards your mom.
Mhm.
Can you describe to me a little bit better kind of what was going on there? Like, is there a reason you put the bat up?
Yeah, he was walking towards my mom, and I just didn't want him to do anything, so I kind of just stuck out the bat. Like, my mom was right beside me, and he was right there, so it wasn't, like, between them.
Okay.
It was kind of just, like, I just stuck it out to be, like, keep your distance, kind of.
When you say you didn't want him to do anything, what did you think he was gonna do?
Hit her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, for the most part, been pretty, like, mundane, but there have been a few, like, violent times with him when I was really scared that he was gonna hit me or hit my mom, like,
Okay.
just because everything was kind of crazy. Me and him have always kind of not gotten along,
Mm-hmm.
like, just since I was little. And so there have been a few times that we've gotten in fights and stuff like that, and so, so I'm just kind of always scared of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that happened, and he grabbed the bat from you.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of tell me that again real quick.
So I kind of stuck it out, and this is when he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to jail, and I didn't say anything because I'm like, okay. And so I'm holding it by, like, the end of the bat, like, the place where you hold it, and so he kind of took it, and I kind of, like, lunged forward and kind of lost, like, my footing.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom was like, just let go, and so, I kind of, like, slipped and I fell,
Mm-hmm.
kind of on, like, my side.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from that, my mom said to go to the car, so I just got up and ran out the door.
Okay. Did you see, when you fell towards your side, did you see what he did with the bat?
No, I wasn't really looking
Okay.
in that direction because from where I fell, the door was kind of more in my line of vision because I fell looking this way and the door was, like, right there, so I didn't look back.
So he was at a different line of sight than what you were looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at some point you saw him kind of take a step back, and from what you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, you didn't necessarily see your uncle pulling back, but
Yeah.
it seems like that maybe.
It seems like he wouldn't have taken a step back
Okay.
on his own, so
Okay.
it's more of an assumption than anything.
Okay.
I didn't see him physically take him back.
And does that make sense based on where your uncle was at that time?
Yeah, he was behind him because he wasn't on this side with me and my mom, so he was
Okay.
behind him
Okay.
because that's kind of just the order where everyone walked out.
And when that happened and then your mom told you to go, did you see what happened with your stepdad and uncle?
No.
Okay. And then once you went outside with your brother, you never came back inside.
Oh, I went to go get my mom's purse
Okay.
from inside so that we could have, like, her wallet and everything, but this was all happening, like I said, like, in the
Okay.
bigger room right here. And so I went through the garage door,
Mhm.
and so the garage door is right here, and then there's, like, a little hallway, and then this is kind of where everything is, and then this is my mom's room.
Okay.
So when I went in, I kind of, like, just tuned everything out, ran to my mom's closet, ran back, so I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything.
When did you go back in and get her purse?
After my mom came out.
Okay. So after you heard that loud noise?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you heard the loud noise, was your mom outside or inside?
We have a feed, but it's only a feed of the seal. So we'll keep watching this and then I'll flip over as soon as they come in. Yeah, this has got how much? 10? About 6 more minutes.
I think she was inside when it happened and the door opened, like, immediately after.
Okay. So very quickly after the door opened?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't, like, a long period of time, because I remember not, like, thinking about it for that long. And if my mom hadn't come out immediately, I would have, been thinking about it for a lot longer than
Okay.
I had.
So obviously I don't know like your mom and stepdad and uncle like you do. I don't. So can you tell me kind of where the three of them were at kind of emotionally and how they were behaving when all this was happening?
When all this was happening, or like before?
When all this was happening. So like when you came out of your room and he took the bat from you and.
Yeah, so my stepdad was like, he was like, I don't even know how to explain it. He honestly just looked like kind of a crazy person.
Okay.
Like screaming and like his face was beet red. He just looked like really mad. I remember when he took the bat from me, I saw his face for like a split second, and I honestly like, it didn't even look like him. He just looked like pure like rage, like he was just seeing red. So I haven't really seen him like all the way like that before. That's like the craziest I've ever seen him. And then my uncle was kind of calm, like not super calm. Obviously, it was like a stressful situation, but he's like, I don't know, he was kind of just standing there in the doorway, kind of just being protective of my mom, but he wasn't yelling or really saying anything.
Okay.
And my mom was just kind of, he was yelling and my mom was kind of just like talking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But you don't remember, if you do, like what your mom was saying at all or what he was mad about?
No, not really. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Honestly, like
we're talking about something that probably happened over 2 seconds of time. So.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like 2 seconds and 40 minutes at the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what they were really saying. I just kind of heard yelling over everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I kind of just do that whenever things are like really loud. I kind of just like tune what people are saying out because I don't know, just yelling isn't fun, obviously, for a kid to hear. And with my biological dad, I always heard him like screaming and stuff, so I kind of just learned how to like tune it out.
So when you woke up to yelling, and you had said you weren't sure what they were actually saying, did you know who was yelling when you heard the yelling?
Yeah, I knew it was my stepdad. Well, at first I kind of didn't. Like when you first wake up, you're kind of disoriented. And then I remembered that my stepdad was like coming in to take my little brother to school today, so I immediately like knew it was him. And then my uncle I knew was staying, so I knew that was him. And then my mom, obviously, I knew that was her. Yeah.
And then, so you stepped out of your room and you took the bat with you. Is there a reason why you took the bat with you?
Honestly, I think that was kind of just like first instinct. Like obviously I didn't ever hit him with the bat or anything like that. It was kind of just for like security, I guess, to know that I had it. I didn't do anything with it. In hindsight, I probably just shouldn't have brought it out at all because it caused more.
Good morning, Your Honor. Pamela Hicks, Advisory Council on behalf of Ms. Daybell, and Robert Abernathy is out of the office today.
Okay. Here we go.
You want to announce?
Lori Daybell, on behalf of myself.
All right, we have a number of things to get through this morning. The first thing I want to address is there's been multiple media requests. I don't know if there's a representative of the media that can address this, but my question is if there's a single pool camera, is there some sort of agreement or cooperation between other media outlets to use a single camera?
Your Honor, if I may, Matthew Kelly, I represent Court TV, and our understanding is that yes, there is a pool arrangement, and Court TV has asked to be the pool for the trials in this matter. I believe that that request is pending with the PIO. Regardless, the media that are interested in camera coverage do have a pool arrangement.
Okay. I know that there was I don't know if it was Court TV or another outlet requested multiple cameras and a still camera. I'm inclined to just allow a single camera. Do you want to speak to that?
Yes, Your Honor. Court TV would prefer to have two of its own cameras. One of its own cameras is perfectly fine. Court TV's equipment is actually smaller than the camera we have here today and can be operated remotely, so it is much more unobtrusive. Court TV also has in the past used the feed from one of the cameras here for the webcasting of hearings for its purposes as well. Court TV will position its camera so that jurors are not in the field of view and would not use any of these cameras that have a view of the jurors.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else here from the media that wants to be heard? I don't hear any. State want to take a position? All right, I know the defendant filed an objection. I've read your objection. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'd just like to add some case law to that. Shepard versus Maxwell, 337 U.S. United States Supreme Court, Mr. Justice Clark held that failure of the state judge in murder prosecution to protect defendant from inherently prejudicial publicity, which saturated the community to control disruptive influences in courtroom, deprived the defendant of a fair trial consistent with due process. So that and Arizona versus Cheney, which was the defendant is entitled to fair and impartial trial when publicity pervades court proceedings to the extent that the proceedings were prejudiced to the defendant. So obviously you read my objection, so I just wanted to add those on the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
Your prior attorneys had filed a series of objections to media coverage media being allowed in the courtroom, and I made a prior ruling that was filed back September 4th, which was fairly comprehensive. I am inclined to allow one pool camera. I'll issue an order with more detailed findings later today or tomorrow. But essentially, there won't be any media coverage during the jury selection process, and I'll put the reasons for that in the order. So that's, again, I'll issue a more detailed order later today or tomorrow. All right.
Your Honor, there's also the issue of whether Court TV will be allowed to live stream the trial. In other words, broadcast online in real time. Court TV would prefer to do that.
Are you able to, are they able to do a 1 or 2 minute delay?
Certainly, we can certainly do that. I just want to inform Your Honor, however, that when we share the footage with the pool, we can't delay that footage. So your order would need to require that all media receiving the feed delay it by however long you wish to delay it.
And the camera, the pool camera would be simultaneously distributing that feed to whatever media requests it?
That's correct. We have the capability to distribute to up to 30 or 40 different media outlets, so we have plenty of bandwidth to do so.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get down to business on some of the.
Your Honor?
Yep.
Could I just add that we want to make sure that the cameras aren't going to be zooming in at any level to get to our notes and the things that are going to be on the table. I also previously, what has happened before is that they just have the camera on my face the entire trial. So I think when the judge is speaking, the judge needs to be on the camera. When the state is speaking, they need to be on camera. If we can add that to the order, I think.
All right, well, my draft already includes that there'll be no zooming in on counsel table, anything on counsel table, or anything being handled, notes or that sort of thing being handled by any of the parties or the attorneys. As far as what they focus on, they'll be limited to focusing on the parties, myself, the witness, depending on the witness. I need to ask the state about that in a second, but they won't be allowed to broadcast any image of any juror. While I'm on that subject, let me ask the state, are you seeking any sort of protective order when a named victim testifies?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Will you let me know if that changes?
Yes, I will.
Do you have do you have the names of your designated victim or victim representatives that might be testifying?
Kay Woodcock is a statutory legal victim and will be testifying.
Is that the only one?
At this time, yes.
Okay.
For this trial, I should say.
For this trial, okay. Let me ask this, are the parties ready to proceed around March 31st to April 1st?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let me ask the state next. Earlier during these proceedings in past hearings, you indicated you thought the state's case in chief would take 2 weeks. You requested yesterday to screen for 6 weeks.
Your Honor, I did say 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
But I did say that while we had a defense attorney on and not Ms. Vallow herself. I am familiar with other pro per trials where generally the timelines are in excess of those with a defense attorney assigned. So in order to ensure that we aren't asking a jury later to stay longer than we pre-screen them, I believe it would be appropriate to screen them for 6 weeks.
So now that you're gearing up for trial and maybe you have a better idea, how long do you think your case in chief would take with a normal amount of cross? I know that's hard to estimate.
And again, I would say 2 to 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
That would be at the outset of it.
Okay.
Probably, yeah, 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. Let me ask advisory council, if we do an questionnaire, would you be assisting Ms. Daybell with your laptop in going through the answers that are received?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, assuming we do all of that, because a lot of times the courts send us back to our office to go through that. So if we do that here, then yes, of course, she's welcome to use our laptops.
Right. My plan is we can do jury selection in the South Court Tower 5C. I know that the state has requested that the entire trial be held there. We can't do it. We can do jury selection there. I can give you rooms here for your victims and witnesses as need be that are outside this courtroom that we can have them stream in if you want, depending on, I guess, who the witness is or who's back there.
And obviously, Your Honor, I don't know if the public will be attending this or not. This also is a little different in that even in the mornings, the jury is going to be potentially out here while the court is having morning calendar. If there's media out there as well, I'm just trying to protect the integrity of the trial by ensuring that the public, the media, are not interacting with witnesses at any time while they're out there. It's difficult when it's a very small hallway and very limited rooms just to put them in. Obviously, I need a room for the victims that's separate from any witnesses.
Well, we have on this floor 6 rooms, 5 or 6 rooms throughout. We have 3 right behind this courtroom, and we can utilize them as need be to ensure that there's no improper contact between media or the public in general and any victims or witnesses. We can also ensure that the jurors don't have contact. If that means we bring them up in a separate elevator and have them assemble somewhere else, we can accomplish that. So my plan will be to do an questionnaire, remote questionnaire for the first 200 jurors. that questionnaire, I need to get a final joint pretrial statement with the list of witnesses to include the names of witnesses in that, but I'd like to send out a draft to everyone by the end of this week. Let me bring up my calendar. We would probably send that out to the first 200 jurors around next Thursday, March 20th. Yeah. Oh, I guess they can't send it out. Okay, so we can send out that the 24th to the 27th, meaning it would be cut off on the 27th. The answers to those questionnaires would be emailed to the parties. That would give the parties the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st to go through those answers. We would meet on the morning of the 1st, discuss who needs to be let go based on those answers. Also on the morning of the 1st, a number of walk-in jurors that for whatever reason don't fill out the questionnaire in advance would come in to the jury room, the jury assembly room that morning and fill out the questionnaire. So that morning we'd also deal with those walk-in answers as best we can. Oh, that's right. I back up. The initial answers for the remote, we're going to meet on the 31st. Let those people go. Whoever we don't let go will be told to report on the afternoon of the 1st. On the afternoon of the 1st, we'll be dealing with the walk-ins that come in the morning of the 1st. And the people that we haven't let go the afternoon of the 1st, that will be in person voir dire as needed. If we need to, which I anticipate we probably will, we'll do another 200 jurors on the 2nd. And if need be, we have another 100 jurors on the 3rd.
That next set of 200, that wouldn't be a remote question?
They don't have a capability to do it remote. So we may have to, what'll happen is on the 1st, all those people, after they give their answers, will be randomized. The list will be re-randomized. As we proceed through the 2nd, those people get added onto the bottom of the list. So as soon as we get 12 jurors that qualify, that everyone's happy with, that don't have issues, plus probably 3 or 4 alternates. So as soon as we get to about 15 or 16, we're pretty much done with jury selection. So we don't have to necessarily question all 200 of those people. We can do panels of 20 or something like that. I anticipate losing quite a large number of people just based on prior media coverage and people already having some sort of opinion about the case. I normally wouldn't include a defendant's name in the e-questionnaire that goes out remotely, but on this case I'm inclined to, just because that's what we want to know. We want to know if people have heard about the defendant and whether or not they've heard about, or if they've formed an opinion about her or this case prior to that. Does anyone have an issue with that, State?
No, Your Honor, I think that's a good idea. That's going to be at least one of the initial reasons to strike a lot of jurors.
My only issue with it, Your Honor, is that it could be bad both ways, right? If you put the name in there, if you don't put the name in there. It's been my experience that people will say they haven't heard when they know who that really is, and there's people that will want to be on this jury just for this purpose.
Well,
it's going to be complicated.
all the research indicates that these e-questionnaires, people are more likely to give honest, candid answers than if they're in a group of people and they feel sort of that peer pressure of what's a good answer and what's a bad answer. Your name is going to come up sooner or later, so I would prefer to just get it out in front of the potential jurors to begin with. My e-questionnaire is going to be fairly basic. It's going to focus on qualifications, the charges, the witnesses, and then obviously whether they have an opinion about you or this case. For the people that make it past that level, we'll question them more thoroughly in person.
And like you were saying, as far as group kind of voir dire, in my experience, we went through 1,900 jurors in my last trial, so it would be good to do individual voir dire if we can, than group voir dire, because they learn things just in the voir dire and it disqualifies a lot of jurors.
I'm not opposed to that, but that's going to be sort of a day of play it by ear sort of situation, whether we do small panels or just go a single person. If we go single person, our jury selection could extend into the next week. But if we're able to seat a jury, I would expect opening statements on April 7th, somewhere around there. Does the state indicated, I have it, there was just one day in April that you wanted to go a half day?
Correct, Your Honor, the 24th.
When can you file some sort of pretrial statement that sets forth all your potential witnesses and a statement of the facts?
Probably by Thursday.
All right. Does the state anticipate any presentation of autopsy photos or crime scene photos? In other words, I'm trying to gauge, I would usually put in a question about jurors may be required to view evidence that shows wounds or that sort of thing. Is there anyone that's unwilling to look at this type of evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, we will have both, obviously, with self-defense, trajectory, and those injuries are very relevant.
Okay, so I will include a question about that type of evidence. Sometimes jurors don't want to look at that type of evidence, so. All right, any questions or concerns about our jury selection, the proposed trial dates from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Just so I have it clear, Your Honor, we're going to start on the 31st with jury selection. Is that correct?
We'll be meeting on the 31st,
Okay.
And then actual dealing with in-person jurors on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Okay.
He asked the questions and he's kind of
Let
like,
me ask advisory council, are there any dates that advisory council would need to be dark?
I am fine for April. I didn't hear back from Robert. I would think.
Please let us know, because in that e-questionnaire, I'm going to put in a proposed schedule. I don't know that I'm going to screen for a full 6 weeks based on the state's anticipated presentation, maybe 5 weeks. So let us know the schedule into the first week or two of May.
As soon as I get an answer from him, I'll email your judicial assistant.
All right.
And one more time, Your Honor, so the remote question is going out on March 24th. All answers have to be back by the 27th, so we will get them on the 27th. Or
You'll either get them late the 27th or first thing the 28th.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You should get them some point on the 27th.
Just so we can plan, because it sounds like we'll just go out to Estrella and go through these.
Yeah, they're closing it at like 8 a.m. on the 27th.
You'll have to have a internet connection.
Yeah,
out
we
there.
can use
Okay.
our laptops out there.
Okay.
Because you want to be ready to discuss everything on March 31st.
Yeah, and if the parties have an obvious, there's some jurors that are going to be obvious that need to be let go. If you're ready for that, that's always helpful. I know it's a little bit more difficult with pro per defendant in consulting like that. All right, let me get to
So we'll come out on Friday. And go through. We don't get any questions on that.
All right, the defendant had filed 2 separate motions for specific discovery. The first dealt with communication between the assigned deputy county attorney and law enforcement agencies. I've read and the second one was, well, let's deal with the first one. I've read the response from the state. Basically, your response is you have disclosed all those communications. There are no other communications.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. So let me ask the defendant.
Yeah, we received 6 email communications, and they were in a short time frame, not the full time frame. And it seems to me that in the last email ends in kind of a question that was probably answered, and then there's like no more communication. So it doesn't make sense that there's no more. We asked for all of them if they could be provided to us. We don't understand why they're not being provided to us, and what the state is possibly hiding at this point, and they can't just turn it over so that we can go through them. It's been, long over a month since we filed that motion. So we would just like them to please turn over whatever they have left.
All right, and I'll ask the deputy county attorney. I imagine some communications are by phone. So in other words, we're not captured.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. Based on the state's avowal, I don't know, I can't tell them to turn over something they say they don't have, so. I'll find that the state, based on their avowal, and officers of the court have complied with the request. The second one is a little more, I wanted to get clarification on. That was defendant's request for video interviews, but it seemed like based on the state's response that there was some confusion about what was a interview recorded in an interrogation room situation versus a body cam. Did the state's response provide clarification to you?
No. So the body cams were turned over, and they're in like 12-minute increments. There's like 4 different body cams. This was a full 2-hour video that was released by Gilbert Police to the public, and it's online. So I would like that video of the interrogation room, the full 2-hour one, to be turned over to the defense.
All right, so do you know what that is?
Your Honor, based upon the defendant's reply, she's requesting a video interview from the 31st. Those are on body cam and were turned over to the defense. We have requested everything from, I think that one was from actually the Gilbert Police Department. A lot of these overlap. So I am not sure what the defendant is.
Who was the person being interviewed? And you said the 2-hour interrogation that Gilbert released.
So it's myself and my daughter, Tylee Ryan, and Melanie Gibb.
And is that in an interrogation type room?
Yeah, it was at the Gilbert Police Station, and I didn't realize we were being filmed that whole time. I didn't know we were being filmed, but we were being filmed in that room.
And are you familiar with a video in a room?
Yes, that's what we have disclosed. Is an interview of, it is
And you're saying you don't have it?
defendant, her daughter, and another.
And you're saying you haven't gotten that?
They have given 4 about 12-minute body cam videos of the policemen's body cams that were in the room with us, and they go in and out of the room at different times. So there's different body cams. They're all mixed up. It's not the full entire one, and the full entire, my understanding is that the full entire 2-hour interrogation room video from the ceiling is available online, but I don't have it in discovery.
That's what I'm trying to clarify. So did the state disclose not a body cam, but an interrogation from up in the corner of a room vantage point?
I mean, we disclosed a lot. Let me see if I can find out. We did. Yes, my paralegal is present here as well, and she has advised that we did. Your Honor, we disclosed over.
Can your
Where is
paralegal
it?
provide a Bates number or something so that maybe the defense just has overlooked it?
Let me see if we can find the actual.
Maybe the discovery notice.
Discovery letter.
Okay.
Don't feel bad, dog mom. You should see how many times YouTube cuts what I'm saying, and they won't let me post it on my own channel. I'm filtered too.
Your Honor, all we do have is the 4 body cam. We can ask again and see if they have a overall.
Are you getting this? Have you seen this, or someone told you that there's this video?
My mitigator showed me part of that video. Yes, with my previous team. That's how I know about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't know about it. She said, "Do you know this is online?" I didn't have any idea.
And you're sure it's the Gilbert PD on that date?
Correct.
All right, I'll ask the state to follow up with Gilbert on that.
We will, Your Honor.
There, if that is out there, obviously it should have been disclosed.
What's going on with our top, you guys?
All right, remind me to follow up on that next time we are together.
Is it
Next,
porn?
I have a motion limine, 2 motions in limine, one regarding Alex Cox statements and one regarding Tylee Ryan's statements.
And they are going to bring
All right,
Tylee's
so
in.
let me ask the defendant, generally any out of, hearsay is defined as any out of court statement offered for the truth of the matter asserted. The state is referencing what are definitely out of court statements. Obviously there's some exceptions to the hearsay rule, and there are other things that are characterized as non-hearsay. So how do you think, let's first talk about Alex Cox. How do you think the statements fit into your, either one of those exceptions or non-hearsay?
I feel like the state is blanketing that whole thing, and obviously it's like a case-by-case basis, right, on these statements. So there is the police interview of Alex Cox that I did not think falls under hearsay.
Why not?
Why does it not fall under hearsay?
Yeah.
Because we're not using it for the truth of the matter asserted. We're using it in corroboration of the circumstances. Everyone came in and told their same story that corroborates different facts in there, not for the whole truth of the matter.
Aren't you arguing that what he said was true?
I can't say whether another person says that it's true or not, but I'm saying what he said and what my daughter said and what I said in those 3 police interviews determined what the police said, how the police acted, what they did after that, their next steps, how they treated the entire case like it was self-defense. All of those are relevant to the defense that it was self-defense. So yes, I think they're for that purpose.
Oh, she's so
But I also think that
angry.
Alex's statements also have a lot of the exceptions apply. 803, 804. There's a lot of exceptions that also apply to some of his statements and not all of his statements.
Such as what? Which statements do you think they apply to?
I specifically his statements made on body cam to police in the driveway, specifically his.
I don't know what the statements are, so that's what I'm asking. What specific statements do you think are allowed to come in under the rules of evidence?
I think under 8031, the present sense impression is his statements made to police officers at the house.
A present sense impression is where you're actually observing something and you're talking about it as you see it happen. So isn't he saying, again, I don't know what the statements are, but is he saying what happened prior? Or is he saying something
prior.
that he's, okay,
Correct,
so it's not a
prior.
present sense impression.
Okay.
What else?
Then I think it falls under 8032, excited utterance. He was under the stress of the whole situation when he made those statements.
What was his demeanor when he made those statements? Specific statement.
On self-defense. I got hit in the head with the bat. There was an altercation. I don't know what all the statements are, but.
How long after the incident did he make these statements?
Immediately after, as far as I know.
Well, immediately to some people means 2 seconds, to other people it means 30 minutes. Tell me what immediately
Sorry about the
means.
lag.
As soon as the police arrived.
I don't know what, did they arrive 30 minutes after the incident? 10 minutes, an hour?
I was not there. I do not know what time they arrived.
All right. So you're asserting excited utterance. Some of these statements come in. What else?
8033, the mental, emotional, and physical condition, because it shows his state of mind, which was scared at the time.
Any others?
Yes. 8035B, the recorded recollection. I know that in the state's reply to my response, they did not think that 805 applied because A, B, and C, but I did not see an and after A. So my assumption was that B and C, since there's an and after B, were what needed to be put together. So B was made or adopted by this witness when the matter was fresh in the witness's memory and accurately reflects the witness's knowledge. So I felt like 803B5B, the recorded recollection of his police interview and the body cam footage, applies under that exception.
All right. Generally, 8035 is a recorded recollection, meaning it's something they wrote down, or maybe they recorded their voice saying something. Let me ask the state to respond. We're just talking about the Alex Cox statements.
Your Honor,
Maybe I should start with,
Yeah.
does the state intend on introducing any statements from Alex Cox?
Your Honor, I haven't decided if we will at this point. I can say with 100% certainty, we will not be admitting his interview by police that was done at after 10 o'clock in the morning. We don't.
Are you referencing what time he was interviewed versus the time of the incident?
Let me say it this way. So the state has laid out in its motion the timeline. So that is actually in our motion. We show that when
8:30 a.m.
is when the
roughly.
911 call was made. So we have soon after that, the police arrived and there's body cam video from that interview. Then Alex Cox is later brought to the police station, and there is a in-depth interview with detectives at a little after 10 o'clock in the morning.
So you may or may not be attempting to introduce statements at or around the time that the police responded?
Correct, Your Honor. If we do, those would be brought in as co-conspirator statements against a party interest. So obviously the state can bring in statements that are hearsay against a party.
Right. But I guess, is the state intending on introducing any statements of Tylee?
No, Your Honor. Tylee made no statements at the scene other than giving her general biographical information on body cam. Her entire statements were made at the police station, again, after 10 in the morning.
All right. So on your response as it relates to Tylee, you say, again, present sense impression. I don't think it's a present sense impression. You also argue excited utterance. What else?
8033, which is mental, emotional, and physical condition, with the same thing, her state of mind, then being scared. And also 8043, statement against interest. They use that statement in the indictment where Tylee says that Charles says, if you hit me with that bat, you're going to jail. That's the part where she's nervous in her interview, saying she's scared to tell the police that she's the one that brought in the bat. So state of mind and the statement against interest both apply to Tylee's police interview.
All right, anything else? Does the state want to be heard further on that?
Your Honor, the only further thing I think that the state will bring in is that obviously the defendant has been found guilty of killing both Tylee, other individuals, but in this case, the defendant cannot benefit from killing a witness and then later try to bring in their statements for their benefit. So in addition to none of her statements being admissible under the rules of evidence, as any of the exceptions that the defendant has done, we also believe that it would be improper for her to be allowed to bring them in under that theory.
Well, there it is. I was wondering about that.
In other words, there's been a judicial finding that the reason Tylee's unavailable as a witness is because of the defendant's actions.
Correct, Your Honor. There has been a jury trial and she has been convicted of that.
All right. All right, the court is on a preliminary basis precluding references to Tylee Ryan's statements, any statement made by Tylee Ryan. If there's some reason where a door might be open to any of those statements coming in, the defendant's requested to make a request outside the presence of the jury regarding that, and we'll deal with that outside the presence of the jury. On Alex Cox, I think that's probably going to be more of a statement by statement basis, but I'm skeptical of any statements coming in hours after the initial police response. I think we'll deal with what statements may or may not come in when the police first arrived on scene and or the 911 at the time that they're attempted to be introduced. All right, I also received yesterday state's notice of disclosure and request for disclosure. Did you get a copy of that?
No.
You haven't seen that yet?
No.
I'm sorry, the
State's notice of disclosure and request for disclosure. I didn't realize it was actually filed in January, so you should have seen that. I misspoke when I said I got it yesterday. It was filed January 16th. Have you seen that?
I'm looking it up. What are we? dates
I
disclosure.
think the court may have ruled on that one, Your Honor.
Well, I don't think I ruled on, at the very end, you're requesting, she submit to fingerprints, palm print, footprint.
Oh, that's, okay. I think that was fired, yes, significantly. So that would be to tie her to any of her.
Is that for other conviction purposes?
Correct, yes.
All right. And when did you want to do that?
What is that about?
If we are going to be here on the 18th, we can take them then.
I don't know that we need to be here on the 18th.
And obviously, I was unaware we were going to set this because we set it
Right.
just recently. So I don't know if we can keep that on just to take that.
Okay, what about the state, you requested copies of any recorded statements made during interviews conducted outside of your presence. Is there any of those, were there any interviews conducted by you or your team? Of
So
any,
far?
were there any interviews conducted of any witnesses out by you or your team that you're aware of?
So far, not that I'm aware of.
All right. Do you plan on calling any experts to testify?
We do plan on calling one expert.
Who's that? Has it been disclosed to the state?
We are, yes, we're working on that today as an addendum to the
Who's that?
witness list that, Lonnie Dworkin.
All right. That's your investigator?
No, my investigator, Jeff White.
Oh.
That's the expert.
What kind of expert is Lonnie Dworkin?
Phone and digital.
I think I remember his name. Are you aware of that?
No, Your Honor.
All right, expert reports and disclosures are due 30 days before trial generally under the rules, so if you're planning on using that witness, you need to get that disclosed right away, and I may have to take that up depending on what the state's position is. But
Your
at this
Honor,
point,
that-
it's technically late.
May be another reason to be here on the 18th. Obviously, if that's disclosed this week, we can potentially address that issue on the 18th.
All right. Let me ask the defendant, do you have a position on the taking of prints and photographs? Generally, identification type things are permitted over any defendant objections. So do you have a record you want to make on that?
Not really.
All right, I don't see any
For
reason
what
why.
purpose? I don't understand.
In the event that you're convicted, it may be used to prove other convictions. That reminds me, is the state planning on proceeding in the second trial regardless of what happens in the first trial?
I believe so, yes, Your Honor.
And how much time would you need between the conclusion of the first trial and the start of the second trial?
Your Honor, I would say at least 30 days since we do need to actually subpoena out-of-state witnesses for the second trial.
I'm wondering if it wouldn't benefit everyone to go ahead and set that a provisional second trial date now.
That's fine, Your Honor.
May 11th is still my last day.
Is that second trial,
Right.
how long do you think it would take the state to
Probably
present?
about 3 weeks as well.
Similar?
I'm gonna- Your Honor, I'd like to remind the court that the last day is May 11th.
Well, I'll probably exclude some time based on the fact that you can't do two trials at once.
The state could combine the trials and do two trials at once, but they don't want to do two trials at once. So it really violates my speedy trial rights if they do not give me a speedy trial by May 11th for both cases. Not to mention that they did combine all the discovery into one case. They didn't give me two different separate discoveries for two different cases, which would be much more convenient considering the voluminous amount of discovery that they piled onto us.
Does the state want to do combine both cases?
Your Honor, if the court gave us a little time to work it out and the defendant wants to join them, I mean, obviously,
I don't know that.
the normal defense attorney, and I don't mean that in any way, normally they would be severed.
Severed because you
Due
don't
to-
want one jury to know about the other
Correct.
two separate charges and have a harmful rub-off effect of the evidence in one case affecting the evidence in another case.
Correct, Your Honor. That's why they were filed separately. But if the defendant wants them together, the state would have to request this be pushed back slightly so that we could then get all the witnesses for that trial together, since they were not subpoenaed for this trial. But if that's what the defendant wants to join them, and she understands that prejudice and that she's then going to be waiving that prejudice with that, then the state is certainly willing to do that. But we would then have to request to have that trial, or this trial date moved back to allow us to get the other witnesses lined up.
I don't think the judge wants to do that. Watch these trials hit the same time as Clenney's trial.
That was not, that's not what I was saying to combine them. I'm just saying, give me my second trial by May 11th. So the court can figure that out.
All right, well, I'm going to waive some time on that second trial over the defendant's objection. Primarily, again, the defendant can't try both cases at the same time. Secondly, I'm not sure how much actual prejudice there is with the time violation, in the sense that you wouldn't be released from custody anyway. And thirdly, the rule for time violations under Rule 8, I think it's 8.6 is that any violation should be a dismissal without prejudice unless there's an actual prejudice shown, in which case the state could just refile the charge. Regardless, I think some time is warranted to be excluded because primarily you can't try two cases at once. What if we set a start date for May 12th? I realize that's could potentially be a quick turnaround, but again, I don't think this case is going to take 6 weeks.
Your Honor,
We can adjust that as necessary.
I, again, am going to ask for a longer time. I believe this will go through the beginning of May, and to have the state try to get those witnesses lined up and subpoenaed while in trial, I don't believe is.
Well, if I push it out any further, the parties need to be aware that I won't be trying the case. I don't think I would be anyway. I'm rotating at the end of June. And given some of the trainings I have to attend in June, I don't think we can get it done.
Well, both parties could send out subpoenas now for that second date for May 12th, correct?
Well, that's assuming we're done by about May 1st, probably, in this case, the first case.
And then, Your Honor, I did indicate that the state needs to be dark in May, the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. You said 21, 22, 23. Correct.
Of May.
And I would need to be dark the 19th, 20th, and 21st as well, so.
So given that we would be dark that entire week anyways, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to.
All right, sorry to interrupt. Let me speak with the criminal presiding judge about scheduling the second trial. We can discuss it on the 18th. Let's keep the 18th, but let's move it to later in the morning. Actually, let's move it up. All we're going to do is discuss a couple matters, and then there's no reason for the fingerprinting and stuff to be broadcast or on video, so I'll prohibit that from being recorded or otherwise broadcast. So have your person here. Let's do that at 8:15 a.m. on March 18th. And then we'll also discuss whether the defense is disclosing Lonnie Dworkin as a witness and whether or not he has a expert report prepared and disclosed at that time. I will have the questionnaire for you by then, so you can review it. Anything else we need to discuss that I've forgotten about from the state's perspective?
Your Honor, I showed two other motions that the defense filed that I did not see rulings on by the court. They were both motions to dismiss. One of them only related to 2022 case, I think. No, I'm sorry. Both of them related to both.
What's the filing date?
January 14th, for one of them was an 8.2 speedy trial one. And February 4th, which was an extradition rule 8.3.
February 4th. Okay, so the motion to dismiss CR 2022-001242 for lack of speedy trial, I ruled on January 24th.
Okay.
That minute entry was filed January 24th, and then the motion. Was that the motion to dismiss CR 2021 and 001704 and the other for violation of Speedy Trial Act?
Correct.
That was ruled on February 25th. So last week.
Okay.
A week ago. Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else from the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor. I have one kind of housekeeping matter that I wanted to ask you about. I know that MCSO has some security restraints, the things that I have to wear during trial. And
I meant to.
I wanted to ask about that as far as, am I going to be able to stand at the podium to talk to witnesses, to question my witnesses and to cross-examine, or am I going to be able to move about with the leg thing and the shock vest and all that?
You're going to stick to your table and you can go to the podium. Okay. When you're giving your opening statement and closing argument, you'll stay by the podium.
Okay.
And if you need to hand a witness an exhibit, your advisory council will do that.
Okay. Or my paralegal can do that too.
Well, is your paralegal going to be present here designated as your, I guess they can be present. I'd prefer advisory council to be the one that approaches witnesses if you need to hand an exhibit or something like that.
Okay, so I'm gonna be standing there, and if she's sitting here, she's gonna come get something from me and go walk it over to the witness and then come back?
Correct.
Just the logistics of it?
Yeah, and there'll be a table or a cart here that'll have all the exhibits on it within reach of the podium, so.
Okay.
Anything else?
Your Honor, do you use case lines for exhibits?
No.
Thank you.
I think they're still working out the bugs on that, so.
Do we need to have our exhibits in place?
All right, we'll see you at 8:15 on March 18. Be at recess on this night.
It's usually like.
March 18th.
All right.
I want to show you guys something really quick. Something that Nate Egan posted on Twitter. Let's see if you guys can see that. I'm going to take that down. So this is one of the reporters. I'm sorry. It's another reporter. He said, interesting, filed by Lori Vallow Daybell, notice of defense and disclosure lists her family, Brandon Boudreaux, and Nate Egan. He said, I showed Nate this today after an interview, and he has not been served with anything. So let me show you guys these images. What is this? Her list. The Superior Court of the State of Arizona. The defendant submits the following supplemental disclosure pursuant to Arizona. So this is her witness list. Yeah. Wait. Hang on. You got the defense notices the following defenses. Insufficient of the state's... I can't even read what I've got up on the screen. Hang on. Insufficiency of the state's evidence, self-defense, defense of others, and third party at fault. Let me take this off the screen so you guys can see. Mere presence and procedural. And then it says the defense notices the following witnesses. So you've got Nate Eaton from the news is going to be called. I can't read this. My flipping eyes are so bad. Let's see. Here it is. Vasia. I can't even read that person's name. Atawa. Gabriel Bonilla. Joseph Pongrantz. Ashlyn Rind. Barry Cox. Zachary Cox. Adam Cox. Janice Cox. Summer Shislett. And Brandon Boudreaux. The custodian of records for any and all exhibits. So I guess that's their witness list. I'm confused by that. Does that make sense to you guys? All of the Coxes, yeah. Oh, thank you, Miss Barbara. Thank you for gifting that membership. You didn't have to do that, though, honey. Well, yeah, I guess that's her list. We shall see. As far as Clenney goes, the docket was updated. There's been zero coverage anywhere about it. But it says motion to take deposition filed today. That was on today. And then it says the status is set for 3/18 at 9:30. To find for, that's a status is set, but I don't think that's a hearing. There's a hearing set for the April the 14th or April the 16th. So we'll see what goes on there. I'm not really sure what they're doing. We'll probably get a reporter come and talk, do a news report on what they talked about, and we'll just have to get that up on a different day, I guess. I'm losing my. I need more coffee or something. I'm confused as how she could call him. It's like she's just throwing it up there to see what she get, who's going to show up and who's not going to show. Well, didn't she threaten the life of Brandon Boudreaux? Isn't that her next trial? It's all about having him threatening to unalive him. That's all very strange. I mean, she can't call the rest of her family. They're all unalive. You've got her daughter, her son, her ex-husband, her brother. They're all gone. She was completely snarky with that judge. And he's very cool. He's very even keel. You can tell he's just like, but even when she said, well, in my experience, talking about the jury, I was laughing because I was thinking, yeah, tell him that because he has no experience in this whatsoever. He's just a judge. Brandon was shot. Okay. So she did attempt. It was attempted homicide, correct? Okay. Well, yeah, but I don't know why they would need to call. The husband's ex-wife is gone too. Yes. Ugh. Her latest husband. Hadn't she had like 10 of them? 10 husbands, and the girl gets around. All right. Well, it's been much longer of a morning than I anticipated in us going through all of this. I might clip some of these other pieces that we've looked at today and put them out as separate videos. I hope none of you guys mind. And then either late tonight or tomorrow, I'll do some catching up on what happened in court with Clenney today. It could be that she didn't even go in there. Not really sure. So I'll find out and let you guys know. Oh, no, I know. But you know what? The way she talks about her friend, his ex-wife that they unalived as her friend, she would call her if she could. Oh, thank you very much, Buzzman Jr. That's so nice of you. Hey, I'm not far from you. I'm over here in Mobile, Alabama. All right. Well, you guys have a blessed afternoon. Try to stay safe. Get some rest. Go try to enjoy this weather. Right now, over here in my area, it's been really pretty the last couple of days. So I'm going to get out of the house for a little bit. Take care, everybody. Till next time.